On the fourth Sunday of Christmas, my demo shared with me. Yes, it's that time again. And I've got a cute little treat bag, and it is a little one, to show you. I am going to use the same paper that I used in last week's 12 Sundays of Christmas project. I'm using Painted Christmas, and remember how I told you this is one of my favorite papers? Well, it is, and so that's why I'm going to use it. And all I need for this is a 6x6 sheet of this designer series paper. We're going to use our scoring blade here that's on our trimmer. We could use our simply scored board to do this, but since most of you probably have a trimmer and not necessarily that board, we're going to use it this way. You can begin with a 5" by 6" piece. So whether you use the 5x6 or the 6x6, you're going to have the 6" side along the bottom, and you are going to score it at 1/2 inch. Remember, the scoring blade is the light gray one. I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches, 3¼ inches, and 4¼ inches. You're going to rotate it 90 degrees to the right and score at the 1 inch mark. And this will show you where your bottom of your bag is. So this is the bottom side right here, because this is where the 1 inch mark is. I'm going to fold this so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to fold on all those score lines just a bit. Okay, that helps you see where they are a little bit better. Now, actually, if you want, you can, at this point, since you're folding on them, you can fold it with a bone folder. Makes the folds a lot crisper, or more crisp, probably is a better way to say that. And this is the one that was, there we go. And we don't need this teeny tiny little rectangle that's out over here. So this part right here, it's between the score lines. So I'll just, some paper, it's harder to see where you're scoring than others. So I needed to remove that little piece. I'm going to fold this 1/2 inch tab to the inside. So because it's double-sided paper, you could use either side you wanted to, but I want this to be my outside. I'm going to fold this to my inside and apply my adhesive. Again, I like sticky strip for this, or sorry, it used to be called sticky strip. It's actually better. It's tear and tape, because you can tear it with your fingers. And we can fold that over to secure it. Let me just remove this backing here. If I fold on this middle score right here, if I just fold all the way over, it folds completely onto itself, which is perfect. We are going to, we will end up scoring or cutting on these bottom edges as well. I probably should have done that before I actually did that other piece, before I put it together. I'll show you again in just a moment. Okay, so now I have all my tabs. Those are just going to get folded in and folded over on each other. Not going to do it right now. There's a reason why I'm not going to do it right now. But when you put adhesive on this, you're just going to put adhesive on these inside long pieces right here. And you'll do it on the inside, not the outside. I'm gonna, although I can tear the tape with my fingers, I'm actually just going to put that on there now and put this in there. I will do this again with another paper so you can see me do it with the right process. And before I do that, I'm going to take the opposite end. This is the top. And I'm going to squeeze those together. See how I pinched that in there and squeezed it together? Now I'm going to take my tag punch that I have right here, and I'm going to slip this in as far as I can, trying my hardest, and I can fold this all the way down. I got caught on my tear tape. I'm going to stick that in as far as I can and try to get it centered as much as I can. So I want to have it left and right centered as much as possible. You can see on the other side, this is where that tag is going to get punched. So I have that pretty little top there, and you can do this with any tag punch. Should work just fine. Now I want to come back down here. I'm going to straighten out the sides of my bag a little bit. Put my 2 smaller tabs in. Remove my adhesive from that side. Put it right there. And remove the other side. Should have used my take your pick tool. Put that there. If I give it a good press down here, that'll get the adhesive sticking to those tabs. There's my bag. Now to decorate this, well, obviously we want to put something in it. This will hold, just some little trinkets, maybe a little bit of a treat. It could also hold a lip balm quite nicely. So that makes a nice little gift too. The colder months are coming. Whatever you put in there before you put the ribbon on, it's got to go in. But we need to decorate this a little bit. So I'm going to take a strip of soft succulent, because that's the color that last week I couldn't remember. I couldn't figure out what blue this was. And that's because it's not really a blue. It's soft succulent, which does have blue undertones. It's a little bit lighter than the cardstock because it's got that watercolored look, but that's what color it was. I have an inch strip here. It's an inch wide, and I'm going to cut it so that it is, now see my box, because I started with 6 by 6, my box is about 5 inches tall, because there's a 1 inch on the bottom, obviously. So it's 5 inches tall. I'm actually going to cut a strip that is 3 3/4 in length. I think that's good. That'll go right there. And I need to put something on that. And for that, I'm going to actually get out my Playful Alphabet dies. Alphabet and some numbers and a couple of foreign letters. Here's the little C with the on it for French. I assume that's French too. We need the N, the O. Now there's 2 of these that are alike, and those could be O's as well, but I believe they're zeros. I think this is the O, but you could use whichever one you wanted to. And I need an E and an L. I'm going to spell Noel. I know it doesn't have the little 2 dots above the E. I'm sure this probably has them in here somewhere. No, I can't really see them, but I don't really want them anyways. It'll be too hard to place for me. What I'm going to do is take a piece of Evening Evergreen, and I want these letters to come out with some dimension. So I am actually going to take, I am going to cut them out. I'm going to take a piece of, if I can find it, I had it out here just a second ago. I'm going to take a piece of the adhesive foam and put that on the back of my cardstock. Now I don't need a piece that is this big. I'm going to save it a bit. I'm going to see where my how my letters fit on here. So I can actually cut that in half and be just fine. I'm going to cut this piece of evening evergreen just a little bit larger because I don't want any adhesive sticking out over the edges. I'm going to remove one side of it, and let's go ahead and stick that up there. And I'm going to trim around this just so I can tell, okay, I've got about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. So when I put my letters on here, I know that I want to stay away from the edge of the green. I don't want to go too close to the edge. I want to stay at least 1/8 of an inch in. I'm going to bring my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back in here. You could obviously use the full-size one as well. You need the number 1 plate and the number 2 plate. You need your letters on your cardstock, and you need another number 2 plate. I'm gonna run those through. All right, pop those out of here. And now I have adhesive letters that I can stick on. It's much easier than trying to glue them on individually, although you can do that as well. It's not that hard. These letters aren't so skinny that you can't do that. Let me poke the middle of this O out. There we go. I'm going to put my dies over here where I know where they are, so afterwards I don't lose them. All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's bring back in, remember I had this little piece? That's what Noelle is going to go on. I could add some interest to this if I wanted to. I could add some leaves. I could, in fact, it would go very nicely with my Forever Fern. So I could take some of these leaves and just stamp all over the back if I wanted to. Or I could take my, there's another Christmas set that I have that I can't put my hands on at the moment. It's got the evergreens with it. Oh, here it is, Evergreen Elegance. I could stamp this. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. Let's do that. Let's put a little bit of interest on the back of this. Take my stamp here. I don't want to stamp in Evening Evergreen on this piece though, because that will be much too dark. So let me go ahead and get the Soft Succulent out. So we'll have a tone-on-tone look going on. And I'm going to, it's still pretty dark. I don't have to fill up the whole thing. Just put some on it. See how I like that. Yeah, I think this is going to work out nicely. So notice how I'm placing this on here, just trying to get an idea of where I want everything to line up. It's much easier to get it going without committing first. There we go. Now, I'm looking at this now, and it looks like it's a little too dark for me still in the background. It takes away from the Noelle. So I'm going to take that off again. I'm going to flip this over. I am going to still stay with my Soft Succulent, but I'm going to stamp off before I stamp over this. And so then I'm just getting a little bit of design on the back without too much. So you can see the design is there. It just breaks up the flatness. I'm not even sure that's a word. It gives it a little bit of texture. So now I know, I remember I wanted to start a little bit down from the top. I'm kind of eyeballing it here. That's probably pretty good. And if I look at my last letter and keep that the same distance from the bottom, centering it left and right, and then I'll have my O and my E coming in right here, a little bit north there. All right, so now I have an idea of where it's going to go. All right, and I'm not pressing down too hard just in case I change my mind a little bit. So these letters are really, really great. I don't use them nearly as much as I should, but they're awesome for personalizing cards. Or you can do, you know, an I and a U with a little heart in the middle. I love you. You can say anything you want with these letters. They're really fun to play with. And now I just need to adhere this onto the front here. I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal and run that all the way down. Now, front and back. There is a front and a back. If I see this bottom flap is the open end was going that way. So that means that this side is the front. Just is a little bit more finished. In the end, does it really matter? Probably not. Now I'm just adding this so that it's about the same all the way around as far as left and right goes. All right. And let's pretend we have something in it. And then all we need to do is close it up with a little ribbon. Now you could use a white ribbon here if you wanted to. I happen to have the Soft Succulent Open Weave ribbon. We used the Evening Evergreen Open Weave ribbon last week. See if I can tie this in a bow while it's still on. Remember, you have to put your treat in there first before you tie the bow. And you just adjust the bow as you want it. And you trim the ends. You play with it to get them going in the right direction. And there is our little container. We'll see you next Sunday for the 5th Sunday of Christmas. Have a great week.